Hey guys, Larius here, and I'm back with another review. This time it's on Spriggan Spread Fusion for the Beyblade Burst series. This Spriggan is the one that came with the Beylogger, which is now my second Beylogger. So we'll take a look at this real quick. It's the exact same thing as Valkyrie's Beylogger. The only difference is the little paper inside, which instead of blue and with Valkyrie symbol it's red, and with Spriggan's symbol. Why isn't this focusing? Okay, there we go. And you can see Spriggan's symbol right there. Okay. But other than that, there's no difference at all between Beyloggers. You can actually just remove this through the little thing over here and just put in any paper that you want, any symbol, anything like that. So that's pretty cool. So not much to talk about the Beylogger other than what I said before in the last review. Then it also comes with the Burst light launcher, ripcord launcher. The exact same thing, so nothing different. So let's get to Spriggan. For those of you who don't know, a Spriggan is a Spriggan is from the Cornish fairy tales. It's basically a bodyguard to fairies. It's also a it's a fairy tale creature. It lives mostly in wooded places. They hide treasure. They guard treasure. They also happen to steal kids from their families and replace them with their own babies. So like you would go into your room to see your kid asleep, but turns out that a spriggan comes and takes and replaces it with their own baby. And yeah, so that's interesting. So it's a very different type of creature, I guess. And like I said with the past, Beyblade Burst has been doing a lot of these different mythology types, which is actually really cool. So let's take a look here at Spriggan's design. Good. Let's do them and then take a look at all of the parts. Right here we have the driver, Fusion. I did not put the sticker on the drivers for any of my bays, just because I don't know if I'm gonna put them yet or not. I might, but I'm not sure just yet. So you can see the F right there for Fusion. And because it's a balance type, and since it's Fusion, it's basically like two tips together. It's like a sharp. You can sort of see the little sharp right there, and a flat. So it's basically a stamina and attack type. And this actually, sort of like with Ray Yasher and Evo Genius, or Dark Wolf 2, it's the same style of the tip. Great focus. Because those are also balances, and this is Evo Genius. So you can see that, and how there's the little tip at the flat. And next to Spriggan, so you can sort of see that. Yeah, okay, there you go, you can see it better now. So that's pretty cool. So what the Fusion does is it will stay mostly in the center of the stadium, and like if it gets hit to a side or something, because of the flat area, it will move around just like to escape, like an attack type would. So it's a pretty decent tip or driver. Then we have the disc spread. As you can see over here, there's a bunch of S's which actually look a lot like the Spriggan. One moment while this focuses. So overall, Spread is a pretty decent wheel. It's completely circular. it's not very hollow like Central is. And you can see the details better there. There's also the two S's here. So it's not very hollow like Central is. So that sort of gives it a little bit more, I guess, an advantage a little bit more because it's not as hollow. It's very similar to Central, but unlike Central, it's not as down. The metal ring stays closer to the actual layer. So see how it's really close to the crystal part of the layer. The Central will be a little bit like, there'll be a little gap here and then it's the ring. So it gives a little bit more defense, I guess, if it's being attacked, because if a bay came and started hitting it, like with Central, it will sort of throw it a little bit off balance because there is that gap and it will lose it. But in spread there isn't, so it gives it a little better defense. Now as for spriggan, spriggan is very interesting. Here we can see the spriggan's heads, and it's like an S, as you can see. Now, one thing I had not said about it in my Beyblade Bursts video is the NFC chip, which is in every layer, and so far we don't know what they're really used for. In spriggan, it's right over here in this black dot, and if you don't know where it is in your other layers, if you turn it upside down, there's going to be a little circle, and it should say something like A3 or something like that. This one says A4 right over here, so that's how you'll know where your NFC chip is. See how it corresponds. So that's pretty interesting. Spriggan itself is it's actually a pretty good layer. It's not my favorite layer, but it's a pretty good layer. The clear part over here, it's really interesting, and the clear part though, that's my favorite clear part of the 5 layers. It just looks really unique. It looks like there's ice forming over spriggan for me. Like for me, the clear wheel, not the clear wheel, the clear part of the layer looks like it's ice. It's really cool, and the other ones haven't really had that effect on me as much as spriggan's does. So that's really cool. Now spriggan has these little bumps throughout all of it, the whole layer now. Basically it's mostly just for repelling. They're not hard hit, sort of like Valkyries are, so it's not meant to be that much for attack, but just because the way that it is, it can do a good amount of damage, so it's okay. It's mostly a good layer for for me, I would say it's mostly good for stamina, because it can repel pretty good, and because it's just it has a good type of defense to it. So I guess for me, even though spriggan is more of even though spriggan is a balanced type, for me the balance in him is defense and stamina rather than really much of an attack. So let's just put him back together and do one quick launch with him. So as you can see, he stays mostly in the center of the stadium. Sometimes if he gets hit in a certain way, I'm not being able to do it, he will move around pretty quickly the other way until he gets back on that little tip that's on it. So for me, spriggan is a good buy. You should definitely get spriggan. He has some really good parts, and he's a pretty good balance type too. Well, so far, because he's the only one. But overall, for me, Spriggan is really good, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this review. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.